Good morning. It's Sunday. Um, y'all are gonna wonder why I'm on here. I don't even know if it started. Let's see. Oh, here we go. We're live. Good morning. Wait for a couple of folks to hop on. I know some of you guys are probably at church or maybe viewing church online. Um, but I'm gonna dive right in because I have some things that I have to do here in a minute. But I have a lot of thoughts on my brain right now, and I wanted to go ahead and jump on and get them off of my mind. so I've been thinking a lot about a lot of things. And one thing in particular, obviously, is what's going on at the national level in regards to Mr. Floyd's death, which is obviously, a lynching that was caught on national camera or that was broadcasted over national television. So I came across a interview that was aired on CNN. And I know I'm probably going to lose a lot of people because it was aired on CNN and because it was Anderson Cooper. It is what it is. But it was an interview that Anderson Cooper had with Dr. Cornel West. And those of you who don't know who Dr. Cornel West is, he is actually a Harvard professor. And I'm going to give you a little bit of his background just real quick. An American philosopher, political activist, social critic, author, and public intellectual. Baptist minister, West focuses on the role of race, gender, and class in American society and the means by which the people act and react to their radical conditionedness. This is extremely important. Before we start bashing folks, we've got to educate ourselves. We've got to know that there are going to be folks who are ignorant to certain things. Again, Mr. Cornell was interviewed by Anderson Cooper. And this ties directly into what's going on here in Abilene. And let me tell you, I think the Lord allowed me to stumble upon this interview. I'm going to read quotes from his interview. There are some things that I might not necessarily agree with that were in this video, that were in this interview, but there are a lot of things that I agree with. And again, these are things that are directly happening in Abilene, Texas. Saddest thing is, the system cannot reform itself. We've tried black faces in high places. Too often, our black politicians, professional class, middle class, become too accommodated to the capitalist economy, to accommodate to the militarized nation state, too accommodated to the market-driven culture tied with celebrity status, tied to power, fame, and all of that superficial stuff. At the deepest level, the system cannot reform itself. We have a black mayor who was not even present at a protest yesterday that I attended that was put on by individuals who advocate for the Black Lives Matter movement. He wasn't even present. He wasn't even there. He didn't even stand up for his own community. If you go back and listen to a couple of my videos, I told you guys that. I told you he's not going to stand up for you. If Anthony Williams stands up for what's going on right now, he's going to be voted out. Plain and simple. You don't need someone in office that is scared. Anthony Williams is scared. Anthony Williams has been sold out. Anthony Williams isn't going to do anything for you. He's a black face in a high place who hasn't done anything for anybody. He hasn't done anything for the black community. He hasn't done anything for the Latino community. He hasn't done anything for the white community. He has not done anything for our community other than raise our taxes and create a debt here that it's going to take decades to pay off. Another thing that he stated that is mirrored here in our community. The black movement, the Black Life movement emerged under a black president, under a black attorney general, and under black Homeland Security, and they couldn't deliver. They couldn't deliver. So that's happening here, guys. That's just not at the national level. That's at your local level. You have a mayor, an African-American mayor who has sat on council for 20 years. and he has not delivered for the minority community. He has not delivered for the community. What he has done is utilize his position of power to abuse and control his community. That's what he's done. So, a couple of things that bothered me about the Black Lives Matter protest yesterday. Your mayor, who is an African American, wasn't even there. He was a no-show. Anthony Williams, who is an African American mayor, was a no-show for a protest advocating for Black Lives Matter. Stan Stanrich, who is your chief of police, spoke. He spoke at this protest. Why is that a problem? That's a problem because Stan Stanrich is in a position of power. He is the chief of police. He has utilized his position of power to have an intimate relationship with the subordinate. He utilized his position as the chief of police to groom a subordinate, and now he is having a romantic relationship with her, and he is still in a position of power. That is a textbook case of abuse of power. And he stood up there and said that these individuals who took a knee, I don't want to say take a knee, probably shouldn't have said that, but had a knee in Mr. Floyd's neck for 8 minutes, 2 minutes in which he had already passed away from this world, didn't represent the uniform that he puts on. Why is that a problem? Because Mr. Floyd's murderer, he abused his position of power and he took a man's life, right? What has Stan Stanrich done? He's abused his power and he has had an intimate relationship with a subordinate, which is an abuse of power. What's the difference there? What is the difference? Obviously, two totally different scenarios, but let's not lose the forest for the trees here, people. Both officers, Mr. Floyd's murderer, and your chief of police, have abused their positions of power for personal gain. Mr. Floyd's murderer was able to utilize his position of power to murder a man of color who probably maybe fed his racist agenda. Not all police officers are like that. Not all white people are like that. Not all people in positions of power are like that. Stan Stanrich, chief of police, utilized his position of power and abused it and is still having a romantic relationship with a subordinate. There's no difference there. It's still abuse of power. And remember, back to the reason as to why I posted this video. I would like for you guys to go back and watch that video, the interview in which Anderson Cooper interviewed Dr. Cornel West. And good Lord Jesus, please let me have an opportunity to sit down with Mr. West one day and just pick his brain about life. I've always wanted to go to Harvard, so that would be awesome. Maybe one day on the campus of Harvard, I'll run into Mr. West and we can sit down and have some coffee. But I want you guys to go back and listen to that video because what he states in there is so true, and it is happening at a local level. We have an African American mayor who didn't stand up for the Hispanic community when when Kyle McAllister made racist comments in response to the Hispanic community. He didn't stand up for the Hispanic community. He censured him. He knew that his friends who were sitting on the council wouldn't censure him. So he already knew that Kyle McAllister wasn't going nowhere. Did Anthony Williams use his position of power to ask Mr. Kyle McAllister to resign? No, he didn't. Again, we know why, because it's going to affect his position in power. He wasn't at the Black Lives Matter protest yesterday because you know why? Same reason. It's going to compromise his ability to sit on the council. So he didn't stand up for Hispanic lives. He didn't stand up for Black lives. He don't stand up for our community because he's playing it safe. He's playing it safe. So if you don't stand for one, you don't stand for none. You didn't stand up for the Hispanic community. You don't care about us. He doesn't care about us. He didn't stand up for the African American community yesterday at the Black Lives Matter protest. He don't care. He don't care about the Black community. Again, he doesn't care about this community. If it doesn't benefit Anthony Williams, it don't matter because Anthony is not for Abilene. okay? Anthony is for Anthony. Again, our homework, our homework for the next 2 weeks, our homework for this whole entire campaign is to watch what Mr. Williams does. We're not going to listen to what Anthony says because a pair of lips is going to say anything, right? People can pretty at words, and they can make anything sound beautiful. Let me tell you something about Mr. Williams. He can sell ice to an Eskimo. I could tell you that. Don't listen to what Mr. Williams says. Look at what he does. Go back, and we'll be highlighting some of his behavior over the course of this campaign. But go back and research what Anthony Williams has done for you, for your community, regardless of your race, regardless of whether you're African American, regardless of whether you're Hispanic, regardless of whether you're Caucasian, Vietnamese, Korean. We're going to need to take race out of this for right now, because although there's obvious systematic racism, there's systematic oppression. But what happens is, just like Mr. West stated, you have African Americans who are politicians, who are voted in to represent not necessarily just their own, but to represent the community that got them in there, right? Anthony Williams represented the African American community. He represented the North Side. He represented us po folk, right? Us folks living in poverty. He represented us. So what did we do? We gave him our vote and we put him in office. You know what he did? He failed. He failed you. He failed me. He failed the Abilene community. He failed everybody. The people who voted him in there, he has sold y'all short. He sold you short because he's a sellout. Anthony Williams is a sellout. He's been bought. He's been paid for, and he's no good to nobody at this point. So I wanted to get on and I wanted to address that video. For those of you that don't like CNN, again, don't lose the forest for the trees. Listen to the message. This is a socioeconomic issue right now. What we're dealing with in Abilene, it's a socioeconomic issue. He no longer is, he's not relatable anymore. Anthony Williams isn't relatable. He's not relatable. So again, okay, I'm going to let you guys go. I had to get on, and I had to get that off my chest. I've been thinking about it all night, all morning. Obviously, I've been up for a little while with my little cafecito aquí. But, and I got lipstick again on my teeth. But I want to get on. I wanted to say that there's also another protest that's going on. I believe they were meeting at the Martin Luther King Bridge this morning. Anthony Williams might show up for that one because he found out that I was at the one yesterday and he didn't show up. So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he pops up there because obviously we know Mr. Williams plays it safe, and this is a game to him. He likes playing with people's lives. So anywho, I'm going to let you guys go. Y'all have a great Sunday fun day. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord, allowing you to live another day. And I'm going to go have my little session with Jesus. And you guys be safe, be blessed. Love y'all. Ciao. And we'll see y'all in the next one.